I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still mess up, but I'll just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. I always get enough. See what's next. Birds don't just fly. They fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave, I wanna try everything, I wanna try even though I could fail.
Ho ho ho, happy Boxing Day and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa to everyone out there. And, oh, Christmas. It was Christmas, wasn't it? Merry Christmas to everyone around the world. This is the Zootopia Minute podcast, the minute-by-minute podcast where we review, analyze, and give coal to very, very naughty furries out there. So, this is minute 43. My name is Choco, still not a furry, and I'm joined here with my co-host,
Simul. Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year.
And Simul has, if you get seen the updated artwork on our title cards, has some awesome dyed hair. He's looking much more...
It's actually bleached, but thanks.
He's much more fantastic, much more adorable. Too bad we aren't dating. I know you guys are shipping us. Send us your ship art. But there's also another character in this minute we'll talk about who also has some dyed hair.
Yes.
But before we begin, let's start where the minute begins and ends. So it starts where Nick interrupts the conversation between Judy and Flash by saying, "Hey Flash, you want to hear a joke?" He tells a joke. "What do you call a three-humped camel?" Pause. Says, "It's pregnant." Flash pauses for a moment. He starts laughing. He turns to a coworker, sells them the same joke, and it ends with Judy, so exasperated, trying to stop this conversation. And Flash is still in the middle of his joke, saying, "What do you call a three-humped?" And that's where the minute ends. So it ends at three humps. There we go.
Yep, and that is from 4300 to 4359 for this.
Yes, it's a carryover from the previous minute where it also ended in the 3. Judy said right. 3. Yeah, see? All right, so this was a fantastic minute, and I think we both enjoyed it because we were both in a call together while we were listening to this minute independently, and I heard the both of us laughing our heads out, and This is the previous minutes we have watched together. We're just kind of silent and taking notes, but this, we were just like chuckling the entire time. So
it's a great scene. We've already said that so many times. This whole DMV scene is one of the best scenes in the movie. There is a reason they used it for the trailers for the movie. And I think this part of it specifically is like the central moment in the whole thing where everyone was laughing in the theater when I saw it the first time.
It holds up so well. Like, that's just the slow reaction on Flash's face as he finally gets it.
Mm-hmm. So, continuing from where we left off last minute. So, Judy and Nick are at the DMV because they have a license plate for that car that Yak saw, and they're trying to figure out who it belongs to. So, they're at the DMV. Judy just told Flash, the sloth, what the license plate number was, and while he's looking it up, Nick decided to interrupt with that joke. What do you call a three-humped camel? And part of what I think this is so funny, and this scene specifically, the telling of this joke, was one of the moments when I heard the most laughter in the theater, the times that I saw this movie when it was still in theaters. And part of it is just because of Flash's expressions the whole time. The whole time he's on the screen, he has this sort of dazed, kind of like chill look in his eyes, and he's moving very slowly, and his jaws kind of hanging open. And it's Nick. "Hey, Flash, you want to hear a joke?" And Judy's immediately like, no, do not, because she knows it's just going to slow everything down. And Flash says, "Sure." What? And this is what was so funny to me, is the way his expression changes with each individual word that he says one at a time, and the way his inflection changes too, because he's like, "Sure." "What?" "Do you call a three-humped camel?" And just that "what?" "Do you call, I think was particularly funny. And as he's going, again, Judy's trying to like get him to speed up, like, a 3-humped camel. What do you call a 3-humped camel? Yes. And it's just, oh my gosh. It's just constant laughter in the theater during this scene.
I'm not sure which viewing it was for me. I've seen this movie a few times in theaters, but one of the viewings I specifically remember it was kind of all silent during this scene. And then one kid in the middle, when he didn't see Flash's reaction, just said, "It wasn't funny." It's like this little 4-year-old kid shouting at Nick, "It wasn't funny," before Flash finally got the joke. So I'm not sure if that was your impressions you got in the theater, but I just had a random kid yelling at that. It seems like every time there's a nice epic silent scene in the movie, people ruin it. Talking about you, Last Jedi.
Yeah, Star Wars came out recently. Have you seen that Vine from when Star Wars 7 came out? It was right at the very beginning of the movie when it's like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And like someone takes a photo with the flash on and all you hear is, "Turn off the flash, you moron," and then bum, as the title shows up. Have you seen that?
I did not know.
It's like one of my favorite Vines. Oh geez. But yeah, just some of those funny moments where silence can be almost as telling as when the actual dialogue is happening in these kinds of movies. Do 3-humped camels exist in nature? I don't think so, right?
I'm the biologist. I should know this.
There's 2-humped camels, which are the normal camels. The 1-humped ones that everyone recognizes are called dromedaries.
There is no 3-humped camel, which would make sense. That's why it's pregnant.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. And so the next great thing in this scene is as soon as Nick gives the answer, "Pregnant," and starts laughing and sort of nudging Judy just glaring up at him begrudgingly. And you just see Flash still has that vacant expression on his face, and very, very slowly his eyes open up more and go wide, and just his mouth opens a bit more and he goes, "Ah, ah, ah." And that moment as his eyes are slowly getting wider with that delayed response, I think is when I heard the loudest laughter from the theater, because that was very funny. And Judy thinking that, okay, fine, we're done, we're through this, we're over with this, can we please get on to the license plate again? Now Flash turns around to his coworker and says, "Hey, Priscilla." And then we get to see this slow reveal as Priscilla, you just see the back of her head, and she very slowly turns around and looks at Flash. And all the sloths seem to have their eyes only like half open the whole time. And she has these pink and purple highlights in her hair. She's wearing a pinkish sweater, and in a very soft, bright kind of voice, she says, "Yes, Flash?" And I can help but thinking like, wow, that's probably the prettiest sloth I've ever seen. And the way that her eyes were only half open made me think like, is this supposed to be like a seductive kind of a look?
Oh my god. Do you have a crush on the sloth already? The Christian Bale
sloth? I do
sloth?
not. No.
Okay. Well,
No.
Actually, so funny story behind this. If you don't know, the sloth Priscilla was actually voiced by Christian Bale, who was the voice of Anna in the Frozen movie. Now, if you guys haven't seen this
movie
on YouTube or Ellen already, Christian Bale is a big fan of sloths. So big that her husband actually did a home video of her reacting to how much she loves sloths, and she's in bed just sobbing about how much she loves sloths before he surprised her with one. And on Ellen's show, Christian Bale was on there, and Ellen surprised her with a sloth, and she just completely freaked out and was in tears. It's the most adorable video ever. If you want to see both the home video and her reaction on Ellen, just Google Christian Bale sloth. But she's such a big fan of sloth, so I think for her this was like a dream character to voice. I think even more so than Anna from Frozen.
See, I know I have one friend specifically who detests sloths. Like, he thinks they're gross.
What?
Like, if you mention sloths around him, he's like, "Ugh, no, shut up." I mean, they're kind of creepy, you know? They're like little tiny furry people that just have these long arms. They just reach and grab for everything.
Are they furries trying to be humans?
I don't know. Well, they're primates, aren't they?
No. Wait.
Are they not?
See, I'm the biologist. I should know
lemurs?
this stuff.
They're like related to lemurs, right? And lemurs are primates. Primates includes monkeys and higher apes, like gorillas and orangutans.
No, sloths, no, because they are not primates. I remember this because they descend from the giant sloth, which is not related to primates at all.
So they're just they must be closer to primates on the tree,
so
though.
They're in the same order as anteaters, actually.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I
So
would not have thought that.
their order is called Filosa, spelled Pilosa. And it's
Filosa.
it's a group of animals that includes anteaters, sloths, and the extinct ground sloths. It's Latin for hairy, and what groups them in this specific group is that they eat lightly for a short time, and mostly they eat insects. So anteaters and sloth both eat insects, and they have kind of slower metabolism than other creatures.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I guess I learned something today.
They're actually a part of a suborder. So if you go up from one order to a suborder, the suborder that they're included with includes aardvarks and armadillos.
Well, we saw an armadillo already. It was Judy's landlord, right?
Yeah.
I never knew that. I always thought they were like related to lemurs or something. They don't have tails though, do they?
They do not know.
No, or if they do, they're very, very short. I don't know. Huh. Well, that's
But
super
it's
interesting.
kind of crazy to think that one of the most fearsome mammals of all time, the giant sloth, basically evolved into this tiny little meek, slow-moving creature that moves so slowly that moss and algae grows on its back.
I think that's why my friend is so grossed out by it. You really, this animal that is so slow that just this stuff is growing on you? Like that's how lazy
Did we go
you
to
are.
the Natural History Museum when we were in DC?
We did not.
Okay, well, if anyone has ever been to the Natural History Museum or any museum with a fossilized skeleton of a giant sloth, those
Did you just say a
things-
live skeleton?
No, I said a fossilized skeleton.
Oh, a
of
fossilized skeleton.
fossilized
okay.
skeleton of a giant sloth. They are immensely huge and
big?
really scary if you like go up them up close. Like
How big
just
are they,
walk up to
Choco?
them. Their claws are like longer than some people. It's crazy.
Oh my
to think about.
gosh. What?
Yeah, these
That's
are like
horrifying.
they are horrifying to look at. In fact, I don't know why I freaked out. Like I'm a biologist. I'm a grown man. I shouldn't be scared of like rocks, but I walked up to the giant sloth and I completely chickened out and backed away as if it was a like a haunted house attraction that would pop out
Night
at
at the
me.
museum. Yeah.
So it was scary. These things are humongous, and to think that they evolved to this little meek creature is just kind of fascinating. Shows how fantastic evolution is.
That is spooky as heck. Wow. I don't want to think about that. That's very frightening.
But yeah, if you notice, Christian Bale's Priscilla sloth has her hair dyed a slight purple. which is kinda
Yes,
cool.
it's so pretty. She's so pretty. She's like the prettiest character in this show.
Oh my god, you have a crush on her, don't you?
No, I don't.
I'm
She's
going
just-
to draw that picture
I just
now.
appreciate aesthetically this
Okay.
character.
I'm going to draw
They put a lot of
picture of
thought
you.
into this character, and that's
You're
all.
going to be shipped to the sloth now.
Thanks. Great.
I'm going to tell Christian Bale that next time I see her.
All right, that's fine.
My co-host has a crush on your sloth character.
On
He
your
doesn't- he
sloth
hasn't-
character that you voiced in a movie.
He doesn't have a crush on Anna, but he has one on your persona. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. I hope her
thinking.
persona is a sloth. That'd be perfect. We'll get her on the podcast. It'll be great. Well, that's kind of the whole minute, really, is now Flash is trying to tell the joke to Priscilla, and he's saying the whole thing over. Hey, Priscilla, what do you call a three? And Judy's just like, a three-hump camel. Oh my gosh. Pregnant. Get it? It's so funny. We're done now. Can we please move past this? And no. That's where the minute ends. And
Yeah.
so Judy's just not having a good time here.
And
with these
the
dogs.
minute we're going to, we haven't caught up with yet, Nick is going to ask the follow-up question. Was this pregnant camel getting an abortion or not?
Oh my god.
Yeah. He probably has to read the
Tie
I
this
Will
into
Survive comic to learn.
Because abortion is an issue central to all of Zootopia. Anyone who's seen Zootopia knows
It is.
that.
It's I think it's sad, but from now on, like along with our Not a Furry jokes and our Zoosona jokes, I
Can we?
think
No,
abortion,
please. No,
abortion's
that's
gonna
not.
be a joke.
That cannot be a running joke. I refuse.
This
That is poor
comic
taste.
this comic has influenced the fandom to the point that it's like it's something we can't outlive. It's just like I think
It's like cupcakes. Yeah,
Cupcakes,
exactly.
yeah. Or the Rainbow Factory or something.
Yep.
Oh god.
It is. It's going to
This
be like that.
fandom.
Everyone's going to know it for ages. It is the cupcakes. Wow. Well, the sloths are great characters.
Merry
in this whole
Christmas,
movie.
everybody.
Yeah. Here's your Christmas episode. Merry. Jeez. Well,
We
the
celebrate
one
the
other
birth
thing
of
I
a
was going to say
baby
about the sloths
and-
is their eyes are kind of like half open the whole time. And it reminds me, did you ever see, I think it was either the end of last year or like earlier this year, in Australia, they had these public service advertisements that were these anti-cannabis use ads. And it was like, don't be a stoner sloth. And it would be this video where these dudes are like chilling in a room or something, or they're out and about. And they're like, hey, where's Dan? Or well, it'd be, hi, where's Dan? And be like, oh, there he is. And the character would be replaced with a sloth, like wearing human clothes, slowly moving around and kind of like dazed, and like everyone would be annoyed with it, like oh great.
Of course you would know something like that.
And then it would end with "Don't be a stoner sloth," and it was just like an anti-weed ad that got hugely made fun of online because of really inaccurate representations. But that just made me think of this too, or this made me think of those ads. So there you go. The canon is now that Priscilla and Flash totally smoke weed. There you go.
All right, perfect.
This has been the Christmas episode, everybody.
Yes, you celebrate the birth of a baby. We were talking about sloths and abortion again.
Joy to the world.
Pregnant 3-hump camo. Well, camos were at the present.
Yeah,
the
with the Magi.
There we
Okay,
go.
well,
We tied it all up together.
So, big misconception. The Magi weren't at Jesus' birth. They came later, like a few months later, to visit him. But oftentimes they get lumped in the same nativity scene. But really, if you read, it's not like that.
So most historians assume that Jesus was born in March based on the conditions described in the New Testament and the time of year. And also around that time, a supernova exploded, which would have represented the
star. Yeah,
the Star
there
of
you go.
Bethlehem. And it's interesting about the three kings because they're sometimes called the three wise men, the three king, or three magi, but they're always represented as three different races and of three different ages.
Because I think they're supposed to come from far away. Like one is an Ethiopian and he has darker skin. One is like Arabian. I don't know.
What's fascinating about it is, so there's actually a relic called the Bones of the Magi. It's housed in a church in, I think, somewhere in Europe. But they actually have the bones of the three wise men, which
I don't know how
might
you're
prove
supposed to
their
make
existence.
a claim like that, but
So I forgot which documentary it was, but they did an examination of the skulls of the three Magi's in this relic, and the skulls actually showed that they were of three different ages, kind of supporting the idea that the three magi were three different ages and that these might actually be their bones. So
so not like age as in like the carbon date, but the physical age of the specimen when it died.
So what I learned in biology in medical school is that so the human skull, we think of it as kind of one solid piece, but it's actually a bunch
made
of
of
separate
plates.
crates. That's
Yeah.
how babies speaking about pregnancy. That's how babies get out of the womb. The skull actually
If they
has
get
to-
out of the womb.
Sorry about our
Keep
baby,
going.
okay? But the skull plates have to overlap, so the baby can actually squeeze out the
Out of the birth
vagina.
canal. Yeah.
Birth canal.
It's okay,
There we go.
you can say it.
And afterwards, the bones kind of calcify and solidify at that seam. And so the younger you are, the more open the seam is, but the older you are, the more calcified it is, so it actually seems like one solid piece. And the bones they looked at in the relic called the bones of the Magi, you had one skull that had very, very solid showing of the lines of the division of the skull. You had the other skull which presented him as middle age because it's kind of fused but still open. And you had one where the entire skull at that line was fused, showing that this was a much older gentleman. So it's interesting that of all the characters in the Bible, these are actually individuals that actually do have purported physical bodies that you could actually see and visit, and actually backs up the claims that were in this original story.
There's a few other interesting relics like that. Like I think they claim in some church in Europe also to have the mummified finger of one of the apostles or something. I don't even know.
I know they have the
that kind
middle
stuff
finger
is
of
interesting.
Galileo. That's like just as funny that the church
you know
owns
what?
the
I
middle
might-
finger of Galileo.
I might be thinking of that. That might be what I'm thinking
Which
of. I'm
is
not sure.
actually brilliant because it's like basically Galileo
Right.
giving the church the bird.
I hope it was the middle finger. That's
No,
perfect.
it is the middle finger, which is brilliant.
Good. Well, that's a great note to end on.
Yes.
Sloths, skulls, abortion, middle fingers. Merry Christmas to all. To all a good night. Thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast. If you did enjoy Zootopia Minute, please give us a like on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter at Zootopia Minute. And we hope that all of you have an absolutely wonderful Christmas. Have a great holiday season. Happy Hanukkah for those celebrating it. Happy
And
Kwanzaa.
happy Kwanzaa, which should be
All of
going
that.
on still.
Yes. So thank you guys so much again for listening. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
All the best in 2018.